Well, the Daily Wire just confirmed the fact that they are just simply Fox News with a better internet connection. They kicked out Candace Owens for the obvious reasons that everybody's thinking about. And it's so funny that they drop this news first thing Friday morning because the big ops? They aren't live today, and everything that they are releasing is pre-recorded. It'll be very interesting. I know exactly why they did this. It's because they think that they can go ahead and put enough air, and that they can also leak out a bunch of different stories, and then over the weekend, a bunch of the other water carriers for them can just simply go ahead and try to muddy the waters before anybody else can give a salient point on it. But the first thing Monday morning, I'm sure Steven Crowder, I'm sure that they're going to go ahead and take the approach of the enemy of my enemy is my friend in this situation and bury Daily Wire before the end of the year. I made the prognostication that after the ascension of Trump in November of this year, Daily Wire is just going to be Lincoln Project with a higher budget. It's going to be completely and totally irrelevant. And all of you Daily Wire simps that decided to ratio my Matt Walsh is just trying to grift off of Gamergate video, go straight to hell. Candace Owens out at Daily Wire. Let's take a look at this because we don't really have a lot of the back and forth. We don't really know exactly what's behind this decision other than the fact that Jeremy Boring, heavy emphasis, never has a surname ever been more apt for an individual, but just drops the announcement that Daily Wire and Candace Owens have ended their relationship. Obviously, I'm pretty sure there's going to be an NDA of some form or fashion. We'll probably get some leaks out on the periphery, but are we ever going to get an address as to why this decision was made now in such a timely fashion outside of just simply connecting the bells? There's not a lot of official information we're going to be getting on this. Owens has been vocal about ending support for foreign wars, including support for Israel's self-defense. Look at the way, okay? And this is also a big reason and an obvious reason why Candace Owens got pushed out of Daily Wire. It's because there is one narrative when it comes to defending our greatest ally. It's that it's Israel's self-defense against Hamas's terrorism. No, what is Candace Owens speaking out against? And she's been making the rounds on podcasts recently. What was that, on the 8th of March? She was over and she was talking with the boys over at Fresh and Fit and dropping some pretty spicy takes about, I don't know, why is the IDF, in an attempt for self-defense, bombing apartment buildings and hospitals? It's kind of a weird take when it comes to self-defense, or maybe in that part of the world, self-defense is something a little bit different. Ben Shapiro, an outspoken advocate of Israel, well, that's one way that you can put it, has taken the other perspective against Owens. And yes, that back and forth has been, it's been something. Okay, although Shapiro has not been in charge of the company for some time. Look at the defense these hack outlets are running for it, okay? I've used the post-millennial a lot over the years that I've been doing this stuff, but this right here, this ideological bent, it's something else. A recent contentious interview between Owens and Rabbi Barclay, appears to have been the final straw with her standing in the company. It's so very funny that they want to go ahead and specifically point to that, because that really does seem where everything kind of kicked off. The ADL, posted about the interview saying, get this one, a white supremacist and a Holocaust denier, Nick Fuentes, is praising Candace Owens' vitriolic anti-Semitism. Which, I mean, here's the ADL's post on this, and why are we using the ADL as a source? Right, because they ideologically align with the Daily Wire, even though, was it a couple of months ago, everybody was basically on the side that, you should just drop the anti part of the Anti-Defamation League and at least be a little bit more accurate. But yes, white supreme and Holocaust denier Nick Fuentes is praising Candace Owens' vitriolic anti-Semitism. It's hardly surprising. It does set off alarm bells. Not the type of bells I'd normally associate with the ADL. When bigoted people come together to push an anti-Semitic agenda, it adds fuel to the fire of hate. So funny. Adds fuel to the fire of hate. Who ended up getting canceled? Right. Who created cancel culture? But I had my point over the top of this. Yeah, white supremacist praises black woman. ADL having a normal one. Isaac. Yeah, exactly. But okay, cool. Back to the whole Rabbi Barclay. And Candace Owens and the rabbis, well, they've been going back and forth here for a minute, but this Rabbi Barclay guy, yo, on top of a bunch of crazy stuff, okay, like, do you condemn Hamas? Was October 7th uniquely evil? Why don't you want to talk about what happened on October 5th? Oh, right, because shout out to Ryan Dawson, we only want to specifically talk about this situation when we do it. We want to start in the middle of the story. We never want to go to the beginning. And October 5th, even though nobody wants to talk about the storming of the mosque, no, that's not even close to being the beginning of this story. Oh, no. But the rabbi, here's Rabbi Barclay, and one of the more infamous exchanges during this interview, okay, which actually both sides at the end of this had nothing but good things to say about one another. And yeah, Candace and a couple of other people wanted to go ahead and set up a good old pilgrimage down there to the chosen people's little slice of heaven in the Middle East, but they also wanted to take a couple of ancillary trips as well over to Gaza and the West Bank. I couldn't imagine why they wouldn't be getting the red carpet rolled out for them, same like Elon Musk or anything like that, because they wanted to see both sides of the conflict. But Rabbi calls Candace Owens an anti-Semite for using the term hag. I'm sorry, what? I got to listen to this.
How dare you go into the misogynistic, the anti-Semitic trope of his hag daughter, something used throughout the late 18th and early through the early 20th century.
Sorry, hag is now anti-Semitic?
That is a term of his hag daughter that goes back into the witches of Eastern Europe.
Whoa. Okay, but the stutter at the beginning, I think that's a little bit more telling. Just listen once again.
How dare you go into the misogynistic, the anti-Semitic trope of his...
See, that's what's happening right here. They just throw out these accusations. I said this back when the Ron DeSantis stuff was getting super hot, okay? The way that the right cancels you, because this is exactly what this is, okay? Candace Owens had a cushy job, probably had a very lucrative contract, something else that was very prickly during the time of, the Steven Crowder stuff, where it's like, it's going to be very interesting to see if they can pave that stuff over, but that's another topic for next week, which obviously I'm going to be talking about this going forward, because the whole destruction of this whole neocon empire, it's going to be great. And it's going to be fantastic. And it's definitely for the benefit for as many boomers that are out there in the wild that think that, oh my God, the Daily Wire is in a better spot. Stupid fat ass Jenna Ellis who thinks that this is a great move for the Daily Wire. It's just going to push them further into irrelevancy. Yes, more Matt Walshes, more out of touch boomer cons with, button up flannel plaid shirts. There we go on that one. Yeah, just go ahead. Yeah, more out of touch messaging where you just need to man who cares what those stupid kids are talking about when it comes to video games? But then at the same time, it's a slow news cycle, so you better talk about the subversion of the video games because nobody else is talking about it. Matt Walsh is a hack. I don't know how many times, guys, he's just grifting off of one topic. What is a woman? Okay, do you want the definition? No, because without that, then I have nothing else unique to say. Cool, fantastic stuff, Matt. Go ahead and, play stickball with your kids out in the yard. But no, back around to the way that the right cancels you, it's through those two same means, the same way that the left tries to cancel you with racism and transphobia. They'll just go ahead and say that you're one of those ists and phobes over there, but do you think it's any different over in Big Con Land? Absolutely not. Misogynistic, and guess what? Ding, 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 anti-Semitism. But yes, the whole hag, that's a new one to me. Okay, and that's a new one to Candace, and that's probably just new out of this good rabbi's mouth, but it's not something that doesn't make the rounds because just recently, okay, because I'm recording this thing first thing in the morning, okay, so this stuff is all breaking, and actually had a different Rabbi Shmuley tweet pulled up on this one, but he seemed to have put the original one in a chamber and can't find it, but it left its shoes, but I'm not entirely sure. The New York Post has just confirmed that after calling me and my hag daughter, oh, look at that. That's what's going to be running around. Is that what we're going to be running on? Fantastic stuff. A verifiable liar. Somebody who more than likely had his hand in the destruction of the greatest entertainer of all time. Good stuff. Good stuff. Go ahead and stand for this asshole. hag daughter, Rochelle, yes, the butt plug sales lady, okay, monster, and liking a tweet that said that I, as a rabbi, enjoy drinking Christian blood. Oh my God, who cares? Arch anti-Semite. Okay, cool. You just want to go ahead. You want to go ahead and slander somebody off of an absolutely absurd correlation. Okay, she liked the tweet, but I'm just going to go ahead and paint her as an arch anti-Semite. Why? Because she has a specific issue with you individually. It has nothing to do with the fact that you're Jewish. It's your ideas and your ill-thought opinions. You see the way this stuff works, kids. To finally take action, she implied I yeeted Michael Jackson, and even said I might want to yeet her. Well, yeah, because she kind of has receipts on this, but let's finish the rest of this. She accused Israel of doing what they're doing. Such vitriol, violent, vomit-inducing, and dangerous anti-Semitism has no place in American discourse. Exactly. So on the eve of Purim, oh wow, imagine that. Just another quinky of a goddamn dink where Daily Wire goes ahead and, kicks out the one dissenting voice that they have on staff. Big shock on that one. It just so happens to coincide with a specific type of holiday. The Queen of American... Unbelievable. I'm taking such offense to this because she liked a tweet that said, I enjoy drinking Christian blood. Can we go ahead and source any of that stuff? Okay, because you're making some awfully inflammatory stuff. But yes, never again. But yeah, it's so weird. And unfortunately, I can't verify this because I thought, in the 5 minutes it would take me to transition from my phone to my TV that, hey, the good rabbi wouldn't delete his initial tweet. But yeah, there it is. Okay, the New York Post. And then he's quoting a Variety article. Yeah, interesting. Do you want to talk about somebody else who's pretty important, at least, enough for you to bring it up? Your daughter right here, okay, Rochelle Lee, after a year and a half of unadulterated hatred, Candace begs the world not to call her an anti-Semite. Candace, you messed with the wrong family, as long as you insinuate that No, she doesn't. You are lying. But this is exactly what they're doing. But to just refresh everybody's memory, remember, Rabbi Shmuley demands Ben Shapiro fires Candace Owens. In the video with intense music in the background, he's trying to, be feared, not loved. Shmuley tells Shapiro, the righteous God will never give you or the Daily Wire any blessings, as long as real Candace Owens works for the Daily Wire. And all of this stuff really started to kick off the week that the butt plug salesman got exposed for exactly who he is. He also claims the whole world saw Jewish women shot and everything bad that happened. Yes, they also saw the 40 beheaded. Where are those pictures, Ben? Still waiting for those ones. But, well, he'll just go ahead and vaguely allude to some improprieties. Candace can go ahead and provide some receipts. It's something that she didn't do, and I'll stand behind that. It's like she didn't do very good work when it came to slandering Steven Crowder, and if she can go ahead and pay and mend that bridge, it'd be a very powerful ally to have, and it would go ahead and wash away any aspersions that I would have for her. Like, I'm not the biggest Candace Owens fan, and I've always made that very clear. But if this is an opportunity for, dissenting voices to come together and to actually firmly squash Big Con, well, that would be fantastic. But Candace Owens exposing Rabbi Shmuley for threatening her and for not disavowing Kanye, because that's what this all wraps around to, right?
I very much abstained from speaking much about the issue because people were so emotional that people couldn't hear, even if I had shared, and even when Kanye did share that he was speaking about specific people in Hollywood that he believed were coming after him and were trying to control him. He actually named some of those individuals. He shared personal text messages.
Yeah, what was the name of that one physician that he had that said, yeah, if you don't just go ahead and shut up about this stuff, we're going to go ahead and put you back in that medically induced coma? What was his name? Or why do I hear bells in the back? It's weird.
Of a friend of his, a personal trainer to the stars, who again happens to be Jewish, was threatening to put him in the hospital and to drug him against his will. Harley Pasternak is his name, and the media barely reported on those text messages that he shared publicly.
Oh, yes, and if you haven't seen those, I don't have them pulled up, but I know I've done a video on those. And, it's creepy. It's creepy, and it definitely shows the path that led to the downfall. Not so much to the downfall, but just kind of explains why, for a while, Kanye was really going in disparate, different areas all the time. But please go back and check those out, please.
Because obviously he was enemy number one. And here's what else I will tell you. When that Kanye situation went down, I was being threatened by a person named Rabbi Shmuley. Person that Michael Jackson put on his enemy list, the person that I had never heard of, was threatening me and saying that unless I came out and said things explicitly against Kanye, he would effectively ruin my life. He said that he would take out a front page ad and smear me as an anti-Semite. And it wasn't.
Oh, wow. And this stuff is all going off just before Shmuley launched his attacks. Interesting.
It wasn't just him. It was also his daughter messaging me saying,
his daughter,
don't mess with Jews. Very bizarre stuff, and they have not stopped, to be clear. And
yeah, and again, okay, like the rest of this stuff, and obviously she would have a podcast and the full context on this. Yeah, it's interesting, right? Because she's not saying anything. Okay, Candace Owens, at least to my knowledge, hasn't said anything to the fact that these people are doing this because they are Jewish, because it has anything to do with their Jewish backgrounds. Absolutely not. She's generally speaking in the same position when it comes to this issue as I and many of the people that I hold to be on the more informed side of this stuff. I'm not exactly down with one side, okay, trying to pass off self-defense as leveling civilians. I'm not exactly down with that. That's not what I would think would be the appropriate course of actions. If you have problems against certain individuals, you go ahead and you take appropriate force against them. I have nothing wrong with you defending your land, but we're talking about land here which is disputed at best and stolen at worst. Even if you just simply move that to the side, if you're trying to tell me that a certain group is so dangerous because, okay, hey, they're coordinating and they're moving in tunnels underneath buildings, why are you bombing the buildings above ground then? If you're worried about the tunnels underneath, why are you taking down? Oh, okay, cool. It's almost like you actually don't care and you don't want to get to the root cause. But I've been alluding to the fact that next week it's going to get very interesting because the people that normally have the day off, people that normally don't do content on the weekend, the bigger voices that are out there, they're going to be chiming in on this, and finally we're going to start to see that pierce of this whole veil where we need to stand with Israel, because if you don't, you'll be labeled as an anti-Semite, because that first shot ended up getting fired with Candace Owens being taken off of the Daily Wire. Now people are going to see that the pool is getting a little bit warmer. Now we can finally have the conversation that maybe our greatest ally isn't necessarily our greatest ally, and we can finally start having grown-up conversations on this without having accusations thrown around, maybe, potentially, because we're seeing the battle lines being drawn, and we've got Dave Rubin, who is, I'm a classical liberal. This guy's been a complete jackass ever since Ron DeSantis announced his candidacy for presidency. I used to watch Dave Rubin, I think, as a lot of people did. He was one of those, I used to be on the left, I was a part of the Young Turks, but now, I don't know, I just want to have sensible conversations. And he's just completely fallen off of an ideological neocon, boomer-con cliff. And he was somebody who very famously sat opposite of Joe Rogan and said, one day, I believe that Candace Owens is gonna be the president. And Joe Rogan laughed at him. So he's been a big fan of Candace Owens. They're friends, used to be friends, until, of course, well, hey man, the obvious reasons. Certain allegiances, friendships, longtime friendships, they all fail in comparison to, well, of course, we'll let Dave talk about it.
I think she's a little confused about some of the things. But I think, I hope you heard the overriding part, which is that I don't want to make it personal with her. I don't really consider us friends anymore. But that's just like the nature of the reality of the thing that we're all in. I think I'm not a friend anymore due to her stance on Palestine and Israel. I thought the entire point of leaving the left is to just go ahead and break through that ideological echo chamber, is to go ahead and try to think for yourself. But no. These types of politics, these types of cancel culture tactics are just as pernicious on the left as they are on the right. And thank God we are seeing this happen right now. Thank
God, we are finally seeing somebody who can come out the other side of a cancellation, because Candace Owens, she's going to be popping off over the weekend, 1,000%, and good for her. Hopefully she stays true to some principles and she doesn't fall off like so many other people in the past. But I think that there's a unique situation here because, okay, for as many times as I've looked at her and it's like, well, you're kind of brash and abrasive. Don't necessarily like that, but again, I'm not necessarily against that. But she's a uniquely strong individual with a unique persona that can go ahead and transcend the normal attacks and really wake some people up. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this thing shakes out in the next few days, and I'm going to be watching. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.